Russian forces are closing in on Ukraine's capital as sources say officials in the U.S. fear that Kiev could fall to Russia within days. Ukrainian forces successfully pushing the Russians back over the river in the southern port city of Kherson. And that is where CNN's Nick Paton Walsh is joining us from now. Tell us what you've been seeing, Nick.
Brianna, just to let you know, as we're sort of beginning to get towards sundown here, we've had this consistent shelling continuing over the area where we were earlier on, the bridge, which is essentially across the Dnieper River that splits Ukraine from the Russian bordering side to the European bordering side. Deeply symbolic, but also here a place of great violence. The most serious fighting in the country, the president of Ukraine said yesterday, and where the Russians seem to have got over the bridge yesterday. Today it was clear when we went to the scene, they'd been pushed back.
Well, this is where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said some of the fiercest fighting was yesterday. A key bridge on the outskirts of Kherson, essentially the route up into main Ukraine from the Russian-held peninsula of Crimea, taken in 2014. And you can see around me, there's been quite significant destruction here over the past 48 hours. That building clearly took a direct hit, presumably from some of the airstrikes we've been hearing. And this town, it's fair to say, is terrified. They turned their lights off last night. We saw hotels plunging themselves into darkness, children asking what's happening, low-flying aircraft coming in, and the distant boom of airstrikes, intermittent small arms fire as well. I was told of dead bodies brought out from here. We've seen two. One man unfortunately left just in the middle of the road there. But the damage is pretty significant here, and we keep walking up towards this petrol station. You see the sort of bizarre local landmarks that end up being the focus of fighting, and it's clear the Ukrainian army made a significant stand here and took quite a lot of certainly damage to their vehicles, possibly military as well. Well, things seem to have been left off and where the Ukrainian forces' last positions were. They are a little bit further away from here. We don't give specifics when we're around them, but clearly there's been impact of shells nearby. That, I think, is part of a military guy's t-shirt, and still some artillery shells lying on the site here, unused. This petrol station, it seems, has also taken a significant hit. That van's been turned over, and one thing we're mindful of is a gas tank that seems to be slowly burning on that direction. What's extraordinary to see here is how fast civilian life returns back to this area. That's desperation. That's not people thinking it's safe. They're trying to get over to see people they care about, do what they need to do each day. But the contrast with that and the sheer kind of firepower that we're seeing used here, this must surely have been some kind of airstrike. I mean, the impact looks like it may have come from the Ukrainian side. But these tanks disabled, and all around us a sign of quite what Ukraine's government mean by the fighting having been most intense around here.
So I'm just going to pause here. The sirens have picked up again, closer, frankly, to the city centre. And that comes while you were seeing that report from this morning, a very loud rumbling explosion in the distance over here, and then the sound of a jet in the skies. That is most likely Russian air power. And it would suggest that, as we saw last night, as the sun begins to set, that they are looking to make another move on that vital bridge. It is deeply symbolic and strategically important, frankly, that they have access to that. It lets their forces from Crimea head north up towards the capital of Kiev. And the residents of this town, with the Ukrainian flag blowing right in front of me, are deeply concerned about whether part of the Russian plan involves coming in to here where their families shelter.
Or you taking us to that bridge that is so important, as you say. Nick Paton Walsh in Kherson, Ukraine for us. Thanks.